that usage of the name of God is very unique for this parak. Parak Beis and Parak Gimel. Afterwards, in the Chinami, we see they rarely come together. You find by Kriya Shema, by the Sipur Dvorm on Matan Torah, Yadat Hayom by Shavuos Alvarech Ki Havayu Elokim Shema Yisrael Havayu Elokeinu Havayu Echad. Eliyahu Hanavi, when they were the Chiddush of Bris and Har HaKarmel, Havayu Elokim, that's what you scream 7 times. Whatever you do there, exactly 7 times. I don't know why 7, because you like the number. Okay, 7 times. You try to convince yourself that Havayu Elokim. Okay, at the end of Yom Kippur, you know that what you're doing is the Chiddush of Bris, similar to what the Jews did at Har HaKarmel after the famous escapade of Eliyahu Hanavi. Famous Tamid should learn Tanakh, so you know what you're doing and what's Yom Kippur. But that's what happened over there. But B'derech Klal, it's not found. And here, Davka, it's about to say that this is the God that the God of creation, which with the God which Adam Adam as at Rashi, and that what is Havaya Elokim. So at Rashi, based on the Gemara Chum Kuf Samach, but Rashi is a bit more marchiv. Rashi says, "Kishenigma Bria Sa'olam B'Shishi Kom Shenivra Adam B'Chol Esav Asoda Adayin Leitzamach." ובשלישי שכוסו ותיצא הארץ לא יוצא אלא על פסח הקרקע. עמדו עד יום שישי. ולמה? Why didn't they come into realization? כי לא המטיר, because there was no rain yet. Verstehst du? In my time, לא המטיר. So if somehow everything works, you just need rain for it to come out. So why? If God said, תיצא הארץ דשא, so let there be rain. That's why there's no rain. Person that lives in a world of agriculture and agrarian society is a makir. We live in this country. It's more. If you live somewhere, in Los Angeles, I'm not sure. Maybe over there they have a drought every so often. You live in New York, you don't think twice. Okay, ain't a makir b'tevasin shel kshamim. Okay, but if you live like in Los Angeles, every so often they have these serious droughts, so they're particularly more makir. The klal is, no one is there lavod adama, and it's up to him to make sure that things grow. Which here we're talking about mikra about karbanis. Is ein makir b'tevasin shel kshamim, and since he's makir b'tevasin shel kshamim, therefore, so what? Kadosh Baruch Hu only you have to be mispalo. See in a minute. And a person which is not makir b'tevasin shel kshamim but takes it for granted, this is nishkin tefillah. Das ist versteht. Uksheba Adam v'yoda shem tzarich la'olam didn't stam daven. He chapped, hey, we really need this. He spal aleim. That's how it works. So the makir b'tevasin shel kshamim is needed there to have a certain hakara tzarich, which memela, that's why he's davening. Why doesn't it work? You understand? Why doesn't it work? You think you have enough. That's the emes. You have to be makir b'tzorich, but it's tzorich. You have to be tzorich. If it's not tzorich, it doesn't work. A big cloud tefillah. I was living in the pogrom-ridden Ukraine or something like that, so they used to say it in the minute. You read all these slichas, you say, what are they talking about? Man, I'm living off the fat of the land and living in scars, don't some regards good. You know what I mean? So you say, but this is historic. That's why it doesn't work. I'm trying to say something here. This is a very important Rashi. That if you need it, then it's a tefillah. If you don't need it, you're playing games. You're saying words. Lip service doesn't work. You have to beg for it. So he says, "Ein makir b'tevasin shel kshamim shebo adam v'yoda she'em tzarich la'adam hispal aleim v'yoda v'tzomchi lonis v'adshon." So it's on this tefillah, which is a davar miyuchid, it comes specifically from the Shem Havaya Elokim. That's why I want to point out to the Medrash. The Yalkut Taka brings Taka, davar mavur. This is Godly Yom Shem Kiyem Shenitnu B'Torah, because on Torah it says Havaya Elokim, At Torah Eis Ladas Ki Havaya Elokim, and on Geshem it says Havaya Elokim brings this pasuk. It's a Yalkut Shimon here on the spot. This is based on the famous Gemara in times. Godly Yom Shem Kiyem Shenitnu B'Torah. One has to try to understand what this means. There's a lot of Matan Torah Baruch Hashem happening lately in Eretz Yisrael. Obviously we're talking Yom Shem Eretz Yisrael. The fact that you have rain over there, the Appalachians, that don't do such as it's Sorim. You guys are over there with the Zerba You have Sorim over there. You don't have a direct Ashgacha, and if you don't know it, now you know it. Okay, that's how we are over there with the Zerba It said that which David HaMelech said, Ki gershuni l'mistapech b'nachlas Hashem. Why? He never had to go live by the Plishtim in Kiryat Gat. You have to just want you to understand where that is. If you did your Gittin, you know a bit of your map. You understand the Bava V'chulu. Okay, Ki gershuni l'mistapech b'nachlas Hashem. That's when he went to Kiryat Gat. When he went to live by the Plishtim in Gat. It's not far from here, by the way. That's called Chutz La'aretz, and there's Pshat, it's not Nachlas Hashem, and the Ashgacha isn't the same thing like in Iker Eretz Yisrael. So you really think just because you live in Dinat Yisrael, you have all the Ashgachas of Ensach. It's the Hedya, even if it depends on Kibush Yeshua and Kibush Elabava V'chulu, Kimavur. Now figure out your map, right? That's what you think we did over there. Okay, it's lahedya. It's a pasuk. Ki kol agdar b'chutz derma k'misha en lokal. Where do we learn it from? From David HaMelech, which had to run from Yehuda to Gat. So I don't know exactly where Gat is, but it's in the area over there. Ki had Gat. What's it called again? These different Philistine areas. Tel Aviv, Chveis v'Sedot and Ashkelon, Lodoran, v'Asher and Kedoran. Ayin Shemitim Tzunachas. I just want to point out. Cesare fine, Cesare voil, there's less Ashgacha Pratis. Did you ever think of that? It's quite frightening. You make a tiyul to Eilat, what are you doing? You're walking away from Ashgacha Pratis, very nice. What do you care? You couldn't care anyway. I couldn't care less. Sometimes you figure, who needs Ashgacha Pratis? It's a pain in the neck. No, work without Ashgacha Pratis a bit. I'm trying to say, the Pshat's not a tzorich, so don't ask for it. And then you take it further wherever you take it. If it's a tzorich and it's important, Mistam, you stick around where it's there. And if it's less tzorich and less important, so don't haklish kenshainik, I hate to say it. So don't bother God too much, because, you know, I don't mind if you tell him Shat and Taisvus. No, he doesn't tell you Shat and Taisvus until you blood, sweat, and tears. Get that straight. If it's not tzorich, it ain't happening. אם זה יהיה נחמד, אולי אפשר לומר ככה, אולי אפשר לומר ככה, לא יקרה. לא יהיה, לא יבוא, לא בא לך. אולי יש שיר שנחמד, אולי, אין כזה דבר. זה לא הזזח. If it's chayi nefesh, it works. If it's not chayi nefesh, drop it. It's as simple as that, okay? That's how you learn this Rashi, you understand? If we're looking about tefillah, it's a big maftach in tefillah. That's why I always say, people don't chap. I mentioned a few times, if you don't sit down and think carefully and say that bracha of Abba or Abba or Abba Soilim before Kriya Shema with real kavanah, man, afterwards don't ask why you don't understand the Rashba. Why should you? I'm not going to help you. You're an idiot. Okay, it's not chayi nefesh. Not chayi nefesh joke. There's no such thing. Tachlis. That's what my Rebbe taught me. Remember I told you, you don't give an answer till their tongues are white from the question. They're dying for it. It's chayi nefesh. They need it. Then give Torah. Without that, bal tashchus. That's what God says to say. That's it, the rain. We'll explain this ba'omek, but I just want you to know, maftech gadol l'tefillah. It has to be, I mamish need this. You're praying for somebody else. You mamish need him to be healthy. No, you know, why not? Stick another mishaberach in, garnished. You really think he's senile? He's not senile. We will now say mishbech. Everybody wants to insert the name. You know what I mean? It sounds like a computer programming. You know, insert the name. we've so lost the tzura of tefillah that it's become, I wouldn't daven if this was davening. Why would anybody be religious? It's just so empty. Go for Buddhism, they mamish daven. The answer is no, because Judaism has tefillah. Davening. Don't say daven 3 times a day. Who can do it? Less koyach. No. Do 3 brachas, 1 Shemoneh Esrei a day. Like a Jew, whatever you do. Whatever you do, that's why the Lubavitcher ever didn't that with a minyan. He couldn't. Only on Shabbos never. During the weektime, no. He went for Chazor Tashat. The Lachash, he sat in his office. He probably started at the same time the Tefillah was Mispalo. But, I don't know what he did before, and I don't know how long it lasted. He started, he was a good man. He started, Maschas, the Briskerov also, by the way. Briskerov didn't even, he couldn't. Tefillah b'tzibur is important milo, or the guf of the uvda of tefillah is more important. He couldn't. He wasn't mesugel to daven with the tzibur. The other, it's interesting, Briskerov didn't go. He went to Kriyas Torah, he went to hear Chazar Sashatz, all the things you're supposed to do, but tefillah b'tzibur. Well, he was makbid to be mispal, bisman sh'asibur mispal. Okay, so that's a shtikol tefillah b'tzibur. Yeah, all they had to say, the Pri Chodesh has a whole list of what's the dargis and tefillah b'tzibur. That's one of them. Yeah, aber Chmein, Adkan, no. More from that, he couldn't do it. That's a serious person. Yeah, he took tefillah seriously. So I want to understand a little bit what this is and what's this Hagdorah. So first to understand the Bechlal, I recorded last week, so I'm going to start with that. These 2 things are sort of inside, they're in your sheet in front of you. First of all, the chinuch that I quoted, and I'm going to show, I want you to see it inside. So in Source Aleph, go to the 2nd paragraph. This is what Havaya Eloki means, because let's understand, what does Havaya Eloki mean? Havaya means basically Shoirish Habriya. Havaya comes from the Lashon lahavot, to bring into existence. Hoveh, lahavot is a poal, to bring into existence. Yud with Hoveh, the Alter Rebbe writes in Shar Yichud, is the constant. Like the pasuk says, Kacha Yaseh Iyov. This is found in Shar Yichud ve'amunah, the second half of Tanya, Perek Aleph, where it says the Yud before a word means constant, the constant source of existence. Okay, basic existence. He who puts the framework called time and space. You know what I mean? Not filling it with the existence, Metzius. He's Shorish HaMetzius, and that's Yud Kei Vav Kei. The Kamachayish B'Tuah, B'Chol Yom Tamid Ma'aseh B'Reishis, that's the Yud. The Yud, which is the constant, the Yud, the Al-Bahav Tamid, that's Yud Kei Vav Kei. Eloki means to say what? Well, can you see it inside? You have one of your Barmakaimus Galore for you to read on your own. But let's just get it, you'll see it afterwards. I think you should take it and read them. The definition of Shechaims, which describes what does Elokim mean. Elokim, we know, is obviously, as Rashi writes over here, is a lashon of shalit b'shoifet. Like Rashi writes in Sanhedrin, lashon srora v'rabbanus. The boss, Gavna, okay, runs the show, okay? It's a nice way of saying the primary source of existence is basically the ongoing flow of the laws of science. Like the sun comes up, the sun comes down, there's a system which is put together, gravity works, I don't know, all the laws of science that we call laws work. This is all Kadosh Baruch Hu wanting it constantly to be. Okay, so we understand the Yud Kei Vav Kei, that God which is the source of it all, expressed himself in the multicolored forms of existence. Well, let's speak as an intelligent human being. We all know that all matter is basically a certain energy and in different forms. It's the same energy, just in different forms. So Elokim is a lashon of constriction, setting a system, boundaries, okay? Strength, Gvura, Adkan, Sulai. In other words, yes, to create form, the source of energy is Yud Kei Vav Kei, but that energy which goes into different forms, that's called Elokim. So the Yud Kei Vav Kei Elokim is basically the name of, when you describe creation, not as an independent reality which you happen to have a God in the background, but you look at the creation, you see there's nothing more than God of energy who expressed himself in form, and that's what this is. So you're looking at an ongoing expression of the infinite God, a source of all, which has created forms that I can comprehend. You went to high school, I don't know if those go to what you would, you know in sciences, but as I did this, no, says Adavar Pashit, okay? Okay? This is the energy and the form. Yud Kei Vav Kei is basically the source of flow of energy, and Elokim is the form. The Lord of forms. Lord by Eston means Shalit, Koyach, Gvulois. It means to say limitations. It means this is what it is and not this. It's the same idea of putting systems down. So you have a flow of energy with system, form, and that's what we're talking about. That's now when we talk Yud Kei Vav Kei, I don't mean the infinite essential God, although the Rambam in the Nevuchim describes Yud Kei Vav Kei as a name describing the essential God, but that would philosophically be a fallacy, because if you're talking about an essential God, which is infinity by definition, it can't have a definition. So it can't have a name. A name is a certain defining reality, call it X. By giving a certain name, a certain description, you're talking about something which is not infinite. Unless you just arbitrarily say, I can call it Joe. We decided God decided to call himself this. Is that what it means? That's interesting, possibly. But it doesn't work that way in Lashon HaKodesh. So it represents a certain idea, and if it's of a certain idea, ideas are already finite form, so it couldn't be God in essence. It must be God within a certain interactive personality, expressing a certain way, and that at least has ideas. We have ideas what they are. We define them. Chesed, Gvura, Tiferes, Netzach, Hod, Yesod, Malchus. We have descriptions of this interactive God in the Mikra. So that's already called finite forms of understanding of this infinite whatever it be, but we're talking at the level of form. And that's why the Radal of David Luria, Talmud Talmidei of the Gra, already writes in his Agos to Pirkei Rebbe Lazar, that and also Reb Chaim Volozhiner B'Mikra also writes it, that the Rambam, this one, they really have a problem with him. Philosophically, I'm talking about. Philosophically, the major problem to call the infinite essential God by a name. The God calls himself by a name. What does it mean? Okay, at least so that unless you say he called himself Bozo, it will be the same thing. Yeah, I don't know. You want to call me Bozo. No, but if it's descriptive, because that's how Lashon HaKodesh normally is, it is a descriptive reality. These letters mean something. That means something which is finite. Could you say an idea? Infinity in essence is beyond ideas. An idea is in essence a finite form of thought. So therefore, they understand Yud Kei Vav Kei is not talking about God in essence, but God expressed creator. God, creator. I don't want to go into the Kabbalistic language, but you can look it up if you want. It's a picture of Blazer starts actually Nivra Olam Hayahu Shmei HaGadol Bilvad. So it's mashma that was Shmei HaGadol Kaim Shenivra Olam. So the Rambam says, yeah, we see that there's God, a name for himself, but it doesn't make sense. So they understand that Pshat is that everybody knows, if it doesn't know, do know, that there's the infinite God and there's finally the God which created expressed himself as an interactive persona, that's what we call Adam Kadman Da'atzilus. That's Adam Da'atzilus, when he made the midos of himself, Chesed, Gvura, Tiferes, etc., things we discussed in the past. Kaidim Shenivra, after the Atzilus. Right, God of creation, God of the interactive persona, which is that God of creation, that's called Yud Kei Vav Kei. That's what we called after the emanation, prior to creating the duality. Bria is the fact that God created something outside of himself, and Atzilus is that God expressing himself in forms within himself. So that's what it means. That's already, Reb Chaim explains this, the Radal explains this. Anyway, so when we talk Yud Kei Vav Kei Elokim, what are we talking? We're talking about God, that interactive persona, which is the source of all, expressed itself in forms, in forms of different energies, and that's the world in front of me. I always give the example from that book called Illusions, okay, that when you go to the old-fashioned movies where there used to be they used to have like the old reels. You wouldn't even know what that is anymore. Probably have to look for a museum. I remember I still had reels in my room. I used to collect reels of the Rav Yortzeit Shurim, where there were these big reels, tapes, you know what I mean? I used to get them from America. It was each one of them was like a Ritva Yavamis. You understand? Chelik Aleph. Okay, you understand? It was like, so this was So what's the real? The real in the movie was you had like this, you had like it was light, and the film would pass, roll over the light, and every time it would project the picture. Because what is the film? The film is nothing more than a bunch of plastic, cellulite, whatever it be, which has certain colors to it. What are those colors? They're filters. So basically, the white light going through different filters projects a picture. What is that picture? It's a tzimtzum of the white light. It's a black tzimtzum, a red tzimtzum, a yellow tzimtzum. These are all tzimtzumim. So if you stand with the old man with the baseball hat from the back, looking through the machine, he doesn't look at pictures. He sees that my poor white light is now going through constrictions. And those constrictions, the guy sitting in the audience, they have the screen over there, they don't look through the vantage point of the old guy with the baseball hat chewing tobacco, with the shooting the pictures. No, they're in there. They think, woo, the guy, Adam Behemoth Hashem. They see whatever they see, and they're salivating. So the guy inside chaps what this is. This is nothing but the simple white light, which is going through filters. You think the pshat is that the oisir the eshchoira, the black letters, don't chap. It's the white parchment which has tzimtzumim of black. That's the letters. What are you looking at? Do you see the letters as the black, or do you see the letters? No, the white around it, which is mitzumtzum through the black. That's what you have. Now you can see certain things in the white. So it depends how you look at things. When you come from the vantage point that everything is nothing more than energy, so that this is nothing more than certain constricted forms, filters. Oh, so it's energy in certain filters. If you don't live in the world of that energy, you grew up only over there in the movie house, so all you know is that was Clark Gable or whatever it is and Gone with the Wind is going crazy over there, whatever other movies you have. I don't know, Jason Bourne, he's definitely shooting something, okay? So, whatever it is, what is that? What I tell you for the truth, it's or love, it's white light going through filters. It's the Mashal Ma'adavar today. You see these big pictures, pixels. I love the name, okay? Pixels. Because what do? The biggest seer, you go in front of a bus stop, so what do you see? If you go very close, it's nothing more but a bunch of little balls. And each one of them has a different proportion of color in it. And they look quite disjointed. Only from far does it look like, wow, you know what I mean? Buy yourself Salem cigarettes, I don't know what. But from close, it's a garnish. If you look carefully, it's little both. That's why if you have your digital cameras, you want to blow it up. Sometimes it looks terrible because also it's not a good proportion. You see the little footballs. It's like Vegas football, soccer ball. So they have a lot of those soccer balls. You know what I mean? Colorful soccer. Remember, Vegas had a colorful soccer ball. He's just black and white. Okay, but you know what I mean, right? Vegas, of course, always have like a soccer ball there. Whenever I see a soccer ball, it's Kveger. Okay. Think of soccer and think of Kveger. I'm not sure he thought about it, but that's the way it is. So you have to understand. So this is it's all it is. It's still soccer balls, but from a certain vantage point, from distance, it looks like one big thing. It's always that way. There's an emes lying in the pratim, and your tefisas amitzis is not looking in the pratim. It's looking in the chitzonius mirachak. You have a total different image of reality. So the pshat is Yud Kei Vav Kei Elokim is, and that's what Adam Rishon was mispalel to. He chapped that Geshem is nothing more than a constriction of a certain shorish elyon. And therefore he prayed not just for the rain, but he prayed for whatever it took to make rain. Do you understand what I'm saying? If he looked at things where they came from, he chapped it. It doesn't just start at the end. At the end, thank you very much, it's water. Go to do your little chemistry and you chap what water is. No, that's what you need. Okay? If you know more and more about rain, you understand, I need cloud formations, I need this, I need that. The dos geich davening, not just the zebula basraisa. I want the whole talich, the whole mitzvah. This is what we need. You say, yeah, I don't know what happens, God. Just get it right. You know, different type of tefillah. Okay? The tefillah is when you're makar in the whole mitzvah and the talich, you understand where it comes from. And that's my tzairach. It's a different bakasha. It's like knowing a sugya v'sidaf zayin and knowing a sugya with its maskonas. You know, bottom line, Rabbi. You know, these type of shiurim. Bottom line. So you have to understand, this is the tzura. The first, that's the akkar that Adam Rishon had. When we talk about the tefillah, that now and the deeper one understands that, and the more profound one chaps how these things work, that is a meftech of tefillah. Because if we understand that hakora, as we learned last week, is the koyach tefillah, the profounder, the hakora, in the dynamics, the profounder, the tefillah, b'meila more it's nene. But that versteht sich, the people are not nene b'tefillah, because they're not davening mitoich hakora. Now let's understand the shorish of this. So let's start with alabes. First of all, the chinuch in the second paragraph. Let's just read that for 2 minutes. Yadua adavam mafursim is Yisur Sabu Aleph. Second paragraph. Ki Hashem Baruch Hu poel kol hanimtza. Not po'al, po'el. He's po'el kol hanimtza. Everything is being made now. Ubara adam v'shlitay ala aretz. He made Homo sapien and gave him the capability of domineering world. V'al kol hashabah. You can control it in one way or another. One has to understand what that means, because obviously you're not controlling most of creation. Most of the creation you're not even aware of. Well, how much you filter fish? How much do you eat? We mavara you in the tzotzis. There's a lot of stuff there in the ocean that you'll know. All those squids. What are you going to do with them? You know how you mavara there in the tzotzis or whatever you call those things. Okay, what's that shiltoin al arz umilo arz v'kivshua? What were you koifish exactly? You know the infinite number of octopi. That's plural for an octopus. Okay. Okay, you don't even know they don't really exist. You know how many different beetles there are in the Amazon that we don't even know about yet? We're only beginning to discover. And start reading National Geographic. There's ein seif chidushim, was verstehen nicht, was geschehen. So what pshat Odom is shoylet all that? Ever bothered by that? Oh no, it means technical man. You can be able to harness technology for the world. How much of the world is harnessed in technology? Come on, you don't even chop. It's so small, it's so minuscule, that's pathetic. So today, that's what it means. Yeah, we don't want to go into these things anymore. But it isn't. So what's meant to say, v'kivshua, there's a bracha v'kivshua. Ad kedekach, there's a bracha of kivshua, that Kadosh Baruch Hu didn't even say toiv on Adam until he gave him that bracha. I once mentioned it. And the Bria, first he said he gave a key type, and then he says, you should be, give them a bracha for the behemoths. For Adam, it only says Vayalakim as Kasha. It's only after he said Pru, then he said Vayalakim as Kol Asher Asa V'Hinei Toiv Ma'od. There's nothing special on Adam. It's only on Kol Asher Asa V'Hinei Toiv Ma'od. And that's only after the bracha of Milu the Orz v'Kivshua. Was meint das? If Adam doesn't have the koyach of kibush, then the pshat is felt into the kol asher asa v'nei toiv ma'od. It ain't going to happen. And toiv ma'od kimuvur b'Ramban means kiyum ha'olamus. Ramban explains was meint toiv ma'od. These pshat I created. Now I wanted to continue. That's in the words toiv. You don't chop. It means the whole world can't exist unless Adam had the koyach of kivshua. And without that, there's no toiv ma'od on kol asher asa. Do you understand what that means? It's a t'nai koydem l'maisid for the world to continue being is if Adam has the koyches of kibush. What's meant this kibush over here, harnessing into technology? Well, Willie the whale has been harnessed. I have a shtickle computer. It's very nice what you know. There's most of nature, thank God, is not harnessed. Whoever says this probably grew up in Europe and never went to South Africa to see what nature looks like. Okay, he thought that nature is a white fish that they eat for shalashidis or herring. In the chap, we know what's there, man. Woohoo! There, go do some coral diving. Go. There's a lot of beautiful things happening, but you wouldn't know that. So what's it for? Vos meintas. So it's a bias bekutcheru. It means man has the capability of understanding. We are frightened by things which we don't understand. People are frightened of death because they don't understand it, the unknown. Why was Columbus such a big gavra? Because he wasn't scared. He was nuts. He had a big type of some and so that overwhelmed his pachat. That's what it is. Why did he go? He wanted to make money. Nishkin Goyse Gibber. His type of some was bigger than his pachat. That's what it meant to say, right? I mean, realistically, why he didn't go to Shema. He went to find a way to go to India because he thought through there he's going to get India, make money. Yeah, pushed his ach. He was a cool investor, and by mistake, he did well. Okay, he even got to the wrong place, okay, but whatever it be. So this is the pshat. His type of samama was stronger than his type of samama and kaf. The Gemara writes in Mishnah, two things makes the world move, taiva and gaiva. Don't ask if, ask how much and where. Whatever happens, who's the taiva and who's the gaiva? That's the two questions. Columbus, agroisa about taiva and agroisa about taiva. He had to do it and he wanted geld. So he found America. Okay, Florida, because some guy wanted an eternal youth. What's his name? Ponce de Leon. At least he found Florida. Not a bad place to be. Okay, you know what I mean? Definitely constant youth. Because the people, all the old fogies from New York go there in the winter, you know. Youth. It looks like the geriatric ward in Hadassah. You ever go to Miami Beach in the winter? I don't mean South Beach. That's what I mean Miami Beach, you know. Everyone's walking with canes. And they speak Yiddish. It's all Williamsburg over there in Borough Park. Have you ever been there? I mean, no place to be. Anyway, but this I left. This is Ponce de Leon, and he found the Fountain of Youth on Arthur Godfrey Road. Anyway, so, you know, yeah, Collins, the big tower over there. I once went into the bמשנת. As soon as I walked in, I knocked down the average age by major points. You know, and I was 50. You understand? That Tower 22, what was it called? It was a very famous place, you know, all these old Ponce de Leon people. So, so I'm trying to say, Alzheimer mit Geibe. Was da geschehen? Was tut sich da? The teretz is, Kipshua doesn't mean to harness, Kipshua means to understand. We're scared of the unknown. The more you understand life and death, you're not scared of it. The more you understand your sciences, you're not scared of sickness. Okay, this is the way it is. I know it goes from A to B to C to D. Okay, so I know I know what to do. I'm not constantly being ambushed. When you're constantly what happens next? Oh, this too. Oh, this too. Oh, this too. You're scared because you're unsettled. But if you talk and know what you're scared, you learn a sugya. You know what to do? Oh, it's so big. It's so hard. Relax, man. There's an order. You start with A, and then an B, and then a C, and then a D. But finally, you get the game. Simple as that. What do you do? No, the kashedi. But let's look what Mr. X has to say, Mr. Y has to say, and you can float and be brain dead for the rest of your life. You know what I mean? But it's because you're pachad. You're afraid. You're afraid to bruise your ego. That's what happens. We're afraid to move away from our comfort zone. So, you know, let's do something which makes us feel good. As soon as the taiva and the gaiva, basically, which don't let you be creative, it does a lot of things. Kivshua means not to be afraid of it because you can understand it. That's what man has the capability of shilton through chokhmah. Das meint das, and that's taka true. That's taka true. We have this capability. We don't harness it for technology. That's it's so profane to think in those terms. You harness it through human comprehension. That's kibush. That's the emes of kibush. That's just, I have it. You know, ich verstehe. Yesh li et ze, okay? Das heißt kibush. It doesn't frighten me anymore. Okay, I'm shliit. I govern it. It doesn't govern me anymore. If once I understand the meanings of life and purpose, things don't faze me anymore. Don't you understand? You have the capability of basically looking at the world, understanding it. Understanding it literally, like Moshe Rabbeinu said, "Areinu nos drachecho." So the Rambam writes in Mari, he wanted to have, basically understand, Kol Ma'aseh Bereishis. So please tell me zoology, biology, botanics, everything. And he got a PhD in it all. Unbelievable. It's Rambam writes. He didn't teach in the Dachim of history, but he taught him all sciences. Not bad. Did you know Moshe had so many doctorates? So now you know. First PhD, our prophet Moses. Okay, obviously he was modern Orthodox. How else could it be? You know what I mean? Wait, Dr. was. So I'm trying to say this is the reality. This is a Torah Mada in the most beautiful way. But das heißt kivshua. Das heißt kivshua. Kivshua means that. That's what it means. To chap, to be teifus, to be shoylet, not to be afraid of the Metzias, to understand the Metzias. Whether it means to understand mitaba or it's at kisya covered, or whether it means also to understand the sciences, whatever it's called, every idea gives you a kibush. Obviously, the big kibush and the smaller kibush. Kol echad lefi hasagosai. So this is what he writes. The man was made to be shoylit. It's a very important nakuda. So weiter the chinuch. Ishlite ala ort kol asher ba u'mimedaisa baruch hu she'u rav chesed v'uchavit b'tevis b'yosef. This is one of the not that he has to do that. It doesn't say it's one of his teva. God doesn't have a teva. People tell me, oh, they quote a certain book, teva toiv lahetiv. Kfir, to understand it that way. He doesn't have a teva. If he had a teva, that means he's predestined. That means he had to. God made the teva. Pshat teva toiv lahetiv. He decided. He's matbia in himself a certain anhaga. So that can't explain why he did anything. It only explained once he did it, that's the dynamics of how it worked. Do you understand what I just said? He's not muchach in anything. He has no teva. He can make himself a teva because he wants to work in a certain fashion. Isn't right? That's why he made chesed, gvur, tiferes, netzach, yisod, malchus, granted. Okay? And he has certain ways in which he works. But he had to choose that. Why did he choose that? When you talk to him, it doesn't mean know what he tells you. So the pshat is, there's no teva to explain. Why did he create the world? Because he's good. He's not good. He's him. He's infinite. He expressed himself in goodness because he wanted to. Why did he want that? Because he wanted to. That's when the teva came. So he's a teva. He has a teva of toiv. He has a teva of people forget that the midas include rachum, chanon, also kanev and noikem, paikid of and over salbonim. There's other pieces over there that we talk a little softly, quietly about. You can scream rachum v'chanon behind bismog. The other parts are there too. I just want you to know. You know, he's quite vindictive, okay? So after chap, but he does chafetz. It's beautiful. It's chafetz b'tayv b'ri yosef. V'roitzel yosem ru'uyim v'zakolim l'kabel tayv v'mitoy. God wants to give, but he can't give unless someone creates a kli. Because just like water, man, there's laws of science. I will give when there's someone opening up his mouth. So now I have to create an incentive for people to open up their mouth. They should be roy. They should give to them. So what do I do? Once again, yes, it is the perfection. What does the word perfection mean? Perfection means from your comprehension of the human character. What does God do with God exactly? Nothing. Once again, it means but we do know that God expresses in goodness and the fact that he wants the world to have certain things and therefore gives it the tools in order to be worthy of getting these things. He created whatever he created for the Jews to be roy to Yotzei Mitzrayim, and then all of a sudden he created he changed a lot of things for it to happen in order to get them to Matan Torah. So yes, God does create tools to allow people to grow. He gives you tools, he gives you skills, he does things. That's his chesed agadol. The thing I want to discuss is the Gemara in Sanhedrin. There's Yemin Agdoyle, Yemin Aktana. Yemin Stam, Yemin is Midas Chesed. It gives God, Kodesh Baruch Hu gives Chesed. But you know what? He also gives Kalim to be able to achap Chesed, just like Oinshin. Kodesh Baruch Hu, when he wants to punish, because punishment sometimes is good for you, he'll give you the physical strength and stamina to withstand the stress. Because if he wouldn't give you the kalim to take in these yisurim, you would fall apart. He wouldn't be able to do you the favor of giving these yisurim. These yisurim sometimes are unbelievable cleansers. Let me tell you, been there sometimes. Yeah, that you have to have kalim to take it in. Once you have kalim, it's a very good thing. If you don't have kalim, what do you actually end up blaspheming? Angry at God. What are we going to do? Why would I give you yisurim? You're not going to follow them. You're not going to get good things. So Adrabah, you're not royal yisurim. You're not going to get yisurim. So you won't have the cleansing. Nebuch. So sit on the fat land because you're not royally yisurim. Did you ever think of those terms? That's what it is. He's not going to give you one of the explanations for Rosh Hashanah. The Hashem is royally yisurim. He's not royally yisurim. What did they give Yisurim for? For what? For him to blaspheme? For him to say Narishkeit? No, Gavek. Not going to get Yisurim. I always tell the story. I was once in my hometown in Chicago. I walked into this house of this big lawyer. Okay, his name was Hein Adowitz. I was not religious at all. I walk into his office and I see a big picture of Reb Chatzkel Sarna, my old Rosh Yeshiva of Chemnei Yeshiva on the wall. I said, what he doing here? So he says, you know this man? Oh, do I know this man? He says, let me tell you, this was the man. What happens? He was in Eretz Yisrael, in the 50s. quite a very wealthy man he was, big investor, and he walked into Chevron Yeshiva. They still didn't have electricity. They had like gas lamps. So he says, listen, I'm paying. I want to get all the electricity for this yeshiva. The Reb Chatzal says, no, I don't want you to. You're not worth it. Says, how much money do you need? Nothing. For you, nothing. You're not Roy Lekach. But my yeshiva, these Bachrim should learn from the light that you gave. Du bist doch, what schus do you have? Moshe didn't want to take a penny. Didn't want to take a penny. Get out of here. You don't have a schus to get this. He was so taken aback by a person which is so, principled and true, that learning Torah is so important that for him to pay whatever money, whether it was quite expensive in those days, you understand? Who are you? Why would I give you this chus? We would rather, learn by gas lamps than your light. Well, the kid said he made him promise to put on tefillin, and then he let him pay a little bit. Okay, and he wasn't a Chabad shliach. You understand? This is the way it was. The klal is one thing. You don't get it unless you have kalim. If you don't kalim, no, you don't get good things without kalim. You're not zoichet to yisurim without kalim. That's a klal gadol. Psach picha v'amaleyu. What's a tefillah? Tefillah is also a kli. Make yourself into a kli for the chasadim of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So the chinuch she writes this. Look, the chinuch. Lo yikra shalom b'tev rak mishu meitiv la'achirim zulato ein safek b'zel l'chol ben das. Okay, whatever it is. Again, his thinking here is awkward because we're talking about God. It means to say, but God wants the shleimus too. This we know. So he says, "Va'achas kam ezushi adanu b'chiv merev shleimus tuva shecheftzeh la'orek alem b'bracha." So we clearly see that God constantly wants to give. I mean, look at the world. Look at everything. He's constantly flowing with nesina. Say Baruch Nafshi. Did you ever sit down and say Baruch Nafshi? Not in the Rosh Chodesh. It's very good to say Baruch Nafshi, in the Mincha. Okay, by Shachas, by Shabbos. But say Baruch Nafshi. It's unbelievable, Baruch Nafshi. He cares about cockroaches and seagulls. You know what I mean? It's unbelievable. It's really frightening to think of this. Okay. So you see, Ramish wants to give, because Baruch is make bracha, but if he has a tiny, you have to have a kli. So what does he do? It's not just for us to remember that he's the source of all. He is the source of all bracha, of all multitude, and from him all the good things come. Once we wake up to that idea, the mi menu al koil and everything's from him, period, at that point of time, lahodos here means to acquiesce, to admit. Okay? Shekol ha'toivas kluas boy, v'hu ha'melech aleim l'shalchem al kol asher yachboitz. Once we have that hakara, when you say Baruch Ata Hashem, and that's what you mean, I mamish chap that everything's from you. Nothing without it. The deeper you understand that, at that point in time, what happens? That makes you a kli. So what makes you a kli for bracha, forget it, feel it to be answered, if you mamish have that hakara. To the extent that you mamish feel Ata Choyne L'Adam Das, that's it. Garnished with only you, okay? Then you become a kli. Rifein Hashem v'nerefei, but you're going to run off to the doctor. That's not the chachma. I always say, I have a friend that used to work here. Before he took an aspirin, he did 10 minutes still him. That's the way it's supposed to be done. He said, you have to be shtadlish, you have to do this, But okay. So first of all, 10 minutes of tillim before. Then I'll take my medicine. Don't worry about it. Took his medicine. He's not one of these health people, He takes the medicine. Oh, but 1 minute. Was I faking when I said Rafa'inu, or was I not faking? So the acid test, will you daven before you put on? Do you say Yiratzin Shia Esek Zeler Refuah? My father was very makbid on that. Everything took a bemet. Yiratzin Shia Esek Zeler Refuah. Ich tu apsa Esek, Yiratzin Mefanecha that this should work. Once you see the ingredients of all these different medicines that they give you, you start reading them, you're afraid. The little letters youth guys throw out, but I start reading them every so often. this is what I'm taking, it's frightening. Everyone is saying, Takishir and the different, it almost sounds like a psychration. Everything else is going to happen anyway. You ever read these things? They're very frightening. So this is the aside. V'achar ashkar v'ayda azu lefan of anam mevakshim menu mashanu tzrichim das or slicha v'nisena refuah oishe v'chol dover. And that's the klal. The klal is first create a kli, and then you have a bakasha. That's one thing. And this you go to source number 2, which I quoted, which is Emunah B'Tachon the Ramban Perek Yutes. Now let's see how it goes further. V'da ki kozman she'adam mechashev b'toch libo shmoshe HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Or echad minifla'isav. You talk about his anhaga. You're a chayna l'adam das. You're this. You're that. Chayna nadas. Or this nifla'isav. These unbelievable things. Or if you talk about his shemus, you're a kale. You're a tzmokos. You're a shakai. What do you do? Yesh the fun of Visairus. Just mention, obviously not just saying a word, but understanding. I mean to say you take it for real. Okay? To the extent and the depth of what you're thinking about, this actually activates God. So here we have another tzur of Hakara. Hakara is not just a kli for Rav Tuvai or a kli for his anhaga. Hakara is a ma'ayrer of his anhaga. Okay, so this is the second stage we have over here. Again, yesh the fun of his iris kifi machshavas ma'as ha'chayshev. V'zeh she'amar ha'kasev b'chol makam asher asker eshmi ki she'is iris ha'im is iris ha'davar reik. What happens? Your ma'ira mitav ha'kadosh baruch hu is not really needed. It's not nice. You're knocking on a door and mamish, you don't need it. Okay? But a person like that is right to get the opposite. A person which is ma'ira midaisav sha'kadosh baruch hu mida, which doesn't need, which is but you don't make a ma'ira kadosh baruch hu mida when you don't need it. You have to chap that. V'korev li'in zem hashem ha'kosim te'iru im ta'iru es ha'ava shetechbotz. V'im lo yakoyach b'adam la'ira advarim lo yamashbim shalei lasos. State in Ramban that the Akkora is not just a kli for Kabbalah. Akkora is a ma'ira, and it's a very potent force. And therefore, we're mashbiyah, don't be ma'ira. From Bashar, that we're talking about, the Gemara says about being, bringing the Geula before its time. This is the famous Gemara in Ksubis about Sholosh Shavuos, Nishtabu, whatever it is. This became obsolete in a certain period in history by us. And remember, we're not going to that at the moment. But there was a long period in Gullus, which was an Issur Lalis B'chayim, to just go and, break Gullus. Things stopped with Askamas Umas. We know that Rameir Simcha wrote a famous letter that when in San Remo, when the Goyim decided the Jews should have a homeland, that's over. But beforehand, there was a Shavuah. And the Chazal bring this pasuk, Im Ta'urim Te'esavish, don't be Ma'ira on Haggis of Geula, and at the moment, that's not what God wants. What's the problem? Because you will be Ma'ira, you are going to be Ma'ira. That's the Gemaras we bought last week. So Reb Chanina knows how to say Mechayim Mesim, God Almighty, there's going to be Tresa Mesim coming around. So the Chacham is, till that was Reb Chanina. Now we're talking about you, and you. It says Elamai, and it definitely works for each one of us. Elamai lefi shorshay v'asagosay. But naniach you have a shvach hasag. It's upset you're ma'ira, but it's a ma'ira. It's not a strong Yisrael, but it's Yisrael. Right? You're doing something. So Hakora is an unbelievable tfisa. It doesn't say words. It doesn't say verter. It doesn't say singing. It then says Hakora. Hakora is a ma'ira. Hakora is the kli for the Kabbalah. Those are the two sources we have. Now, in light of this is what it says over there, this idea, as we mentioned before in source 3, that the idea, now we understand, this is the Akkora, which creates both a Kli and an Isairus. What's the Akkora? The Akkora is Yud Kei Vav Kei Elokim. To understand this in depth, I want to go to different sources to see how far this goes. So there's a few Rambans we have to see to understand the Chal Tzir Soilams. How do we look at the world? When we look at Yud Kei Vav Kei Eloki, what are we looking at? So I'm going to show you a few Ramban. Look at 4 Stalin. Go to the second line. It's a very important Ramban, but you know what I mean? I just want to take certain pieces here, otherwise you'll spend the month. Teda, ki al derech ha'emes ha'kosev yagid betachtoinim, v'yirmois ba'elyonim. Everything in Sheshis Yemei Bereshis, Lemaisa is talking about Shorshim Shel Dvarim. He's talking about what the symptom, what happened at the end, but in truth, what it's really describing is the dynamics, so to speak, up there, B'Shorish HaDvarim. We're going to explain to you what that means. Milas Bereshis Tirma is B'Chachma. Shehu Reishis HaRoshim. Bereshis means B'Chachma, so that's actually Targum Onkelos, and Targum Yerushalayim, B'Chachma, so Midas HaChachma. Bereshis, in that tour, which is the beginning of all, which is Chachma. Bereshis bara Elokim, with Chachma. So all those, so Yirmis, the Elyonim, that's what we're talking about. How did God create the world? He's describing the dynamics. That would be enough. I'll show you just a few more, just to understand how one has to start learning how to read Bereshis, and in light of that, how to daven. Vayita Havaya Elokim Gan Be'eden Mikedem V'Yosan Shemas Ha'adam Asher Yotze. Let's remember, it's Havaya Elokim. So what are we talking about? Not just God, the planter, Johnny Appleseed. It's Yud-Kei Vav-Kei, which is the source of energy, and the source of form expressed in himself in planting a garden. That's a pretty heavy statement, okay? Okay? So he says, Rabbi Shainis Ayr Baza Amru Bevreshis Rabbi La'avdul L'Shamra. What does the Avdul L'Shamra mean? We asked that before. What exactly was he going to do? Eila Karbanos. Shenemar Tavdun Selukim Al Harazeh. Hado Dichsiv Tishmuru L'Hakriv Li B'Boyadoi. That's the Avdul L'Shamra. Tishmuru L'Hakriv B'Boyadoi. Gates of Karbanos. V'Kavon Nelahem Bazeh Lomar. Read this carefully. Ki atzmachim v'chol balei chayim tzichim lekochot harishonim. Everything in this world, nothing happens unless the source reality up there moves. Everything is here is nothing more than an external symptom of where it's really coming from. It's like if you would stop the ideas of energy, existence would cease to exist. If you would cut the bulb in the back of the movie hall, the screen would go black. Do you understand? So you have to understand. He said, "Tzmachim v'balei achaim tzichim lekekos harishonim or elyonos, umehem yavo lahem agidul, ubekarbanot yeh meshech habrocha leelyonim." How do karbanos work? Karbanos don't work here. Karbanos work in the shorish hashrashim. Umehem letzimche gan Eden. And what does that mean? Umehem yiyu v'yichyu le'olam b'shmei ratzon u'bracha yigadlu ba. Kamo she'amru. Look at this medrash. Yizbu atzei Hashem azeh levan asher nota. Amar Reb Chanina. Yizbu chayehen. Yizbu meimehen. Yizbu mata'asan. What does this mean, Dr. Ramban? Ki chayeyem yisoidaisam ha'elyonim. That's one. Meimeim oitzarai hatoiv hamoirid geshem. We're not talking about rain. That oitza, which is the shirish of geshem. Okay, now you understand. There's no oitza up there like he doesn't have this big pot that he pours on us, right? So we're talking about a metaphor for some metaphysical reality, which is the reason for the laws of science, which is expressed in whatever or cloud formation, which ends up being rain. But we're talking about in Shorish HaShrashim, when you say Mashav Ruach HaMorid HaGeshem, you don't just mean the local cloud, you're talking about the ganze Chasana. Maybe you should all learn a little bit of meteorology to understand what is in Gashmis, and then chap, this is nothing more than the Ka'ayim V'Ka'efes in what's really happening. And that's what you're davening about. You daven like that, it's another ballpark. You're living in another planet. And you're used to davening that way and seeing things that way, you actually start looking at the world that way, and believe me, you put on tefillin differently. If you really want to know why tefillah is the biggest medrash for Yediyas Hashem, yeah, because you're constantly talking about Yirmaz Be'el Yoinim V'Yedaber B'Tachtoinim. This is a tzur of tefillah. That's how tefillah is supposed to be done. That's why it was Yud-Kei Vav-Kei Elokim. So he says here, Mefurish again, Mata'asan koicham b'shamayim, k'mo she'amru en lecha eisa v'eisa milamata, she'en lamazer v'rakia, v'u makeh oisa v'om legdal. Shoo! All that is about what's happening before it comes down here. And this is what the pasuk says, Hayadat chuka shamayim tosim mishta ba'aretz shoita. So Yechap, when we say HaKadosh Baruch Hu, with Parshas Bereshis, Yedaber betachtonim v'yirmers le'elyonim, but be'etzim ikr to ikr is what's happening in Be'elyonim. And the pasuk, there's an interesting halacha. This is really unbelievable. Parsha in Kedoshim, and be'emtechol eserbia klayim, and sotchol etizur klayim, beged klayim shatens, or yal alecha, zog the Ramban. Mechavereinu moise betam akilayim giru shelo la'arbe v'akolchos hamagadlim hatzmachim v'yesyankim zeh mizeh. What does this mean? Mimasha amrim breishis rabba amar Rabbi Simon en lecha kol esev esev milamata she'en lo mazel barakia mako. You say that we saw in the previous piece. That's what's called mata'oson. The last 3 lines of the previous piece is what he's talking about now. Although he brings the same pasuk as he ended that piece in Bereshis Beis, he's quoting it again. Watch this. So understand, so now when you see something growing, don't just see a plant. Understand, it starts somewhere in the most profoundest reality, and somehow it ends up like that. I would say the end result of this whole shtickle is that. Just a mashal. I always take that mashal of the light in the film. It's really true. If you never live only in the movie house, all you see is the picture. But if you live with the old guy with the baseball hat in the back chewing tobacco, he chops what it is. That's light going through a filter. Now the chachma is to see both. And see how one and the other are all one thing. That is cool. That's like seeing things like a bird. You see, you have to understand, I once discussed this in the class. The different perspectives. Okay? I am very, very jealous of birds. You know why? Because birds have they have a local view. They come down here, okay? But they also see things from the bird's eye view. They see the macro and the micro together. It's not, now I'm here, then I'm there. No, he moves constantly. Can you imagine that when you're about to land, and wherever you land, wherever in your plane, it's like unbelievable. You see, wow. Then you go down, you know. The cloud is, the lower you get, they become bigger. The higher you are, they're smaller. A grosser yesod in life, okay? You know, the higher you are, the world is smaller. The lower you are, the world is bigger. Look at the birds. He's got the high and the low together. It's unbelievable. He has an unbelievable twist. You know, for me, it's either here or there. No, that's called a bird. That's what the bird says. The shleisha shleimer saying the 3 types of peace, harmony. There's the river, there's the kettle, and there's the bird. We're in brachas. The river means to say, how can I live with you? I can't. So it's like you and, you know, you're on that side of the river, I'm the other side of the river, and we can say hello. That's one way of dealing with things. Some people, if they can't do well in life, you can't handle the situation, so I'll look at you, I'll wave, but you on the other side. Okay, we can't interact. There are certain societies which believe this as an ideology. Okay, and then you have the others, the kettle, nebuch, fire and water don't work well together. But if you put a mechitza shabazl between them, they can interact together and make a nice hot cup of tea. So it's a mechitza shabazl between the fire and the water, but they work together. We need a shtickle mechitza, chatzitza, but we can work together. That's what you call remote proximity. That's the dream of other societies. And the ultimate society of Das is the bird. Ooh, no, up and down is one. I don't have his head to chop how he does it, but I'm just so jealous. It's either that or he's schizophrenic. The birds look quite peaceful, so I don't think they're schizophrenic, okay? We should do some doctorate on bird psychology. Like, you know what I mean? But the chayra, it's unbelievable. So this is this is where man is supposed to be. You're supposed to be a feigel, a bird. That's what you're supposed to be. You're supposed to be able to see up and down at the one time. Shemayim kisi va'aretz adem raglai. You keep your head in the heavens, have 2 feet on earth, and bingo, and it works. And you have a brain which goes like this. The Rambam, right? The Rambam writes, mitabo ores va'ad kisei hakavod. That's how the Navi sees things. He's frightening people, okay? Azoy daf zayin. So you have to understand that's the tzura. We talk about climb. So you look at the world. Look at climb. What's the reason of climb? Just look what it is. It's frightening. So he says what this is as follows. There should be unique from one with the other. You're undoing the Seder HaOlamus. There's a reason that this has this, a certain midah, a certain anhaga. The external expression is a freaking piece of vegetation. If this is garnished, it's like, what's the nafka min halacha? Who cares? First of all, understand how it works. The past, you know what I mean? I told you I had a cousin by Rabbi Ber. He once asked Rabbi Ber, what's the nafka min? He says, Yudel and nafka min have to kennen lernen. You know what that means? Nafka min is to understand how to learn. You think I need a practical nafka min? Excuse me, this is common. This is in Budapest. I mean, you have to understand. To understand. That's nafka min. You don't need mekech memker. It's a mekech memker of seichel. So that's the klal. He says an unbelievable thing. He says a person which is markiv kilayim, he's messing up Seder HaOlamus. Kadosh Baruch Hu had a certain anhaga, and that's what he wants. He writes, "Hine markiv kilayim azarim kadeshi yinku. He should be unique as zem evatel chukah shamayim. V'chein omar b'hem es chukah sayti shmayu ki em chukah shamayim." We're talking about the laws of metaphysics, which are expressed ultimately in the reality in front of us. That's why you can't have kalayim. Here he brings the bereshis that we mentioned before. Shatzmachim kulam yisoidoisem be'elyonim umisham tzivu lehem Hashem es habracha chayim ad olam. And ultimately ends up in rain on a pot, and that's you get yourself a flower. It's a frightening reality. Why? Because Baruch Hu decided X gave us just to do other things and not this. I don't know. You know, he doesn't end up privy. But the Ramban explains that's where it starts over here. So one has to understand that this is the pshat. In Yud Kei Vav Kei Elokim, that's how you pray. You don't look at the Chitzonis HaOlamus. You understand Yud Kei Vav Kei Elokim, you're davening with an Akora Shleim of Pnimis HaOlamus. You have to undo the Olamus, you have to undo the superficiality and see the dynamic. And then you hit the dynamic. Just like when you have a machla, you don't try to solve the symptom, you try to solve the reason for it. Get that straight. I hope you understand that. What do you do when you have an infection? Try to understand what the reason for it is, and then you solve that. Sometimes you should thank you for the infection. It's actually doing very good for you. It depends what the situation is. You don't just roll and take a pill. That an idiot does. Understand what it is and explain which pill is correct. Okay? Then I want you to see a few pieces in Derech Hashem just to understand the same idea. Flip the page if you don't mind. In Ois Beis, this is Perik Hey. Chelik Al Perik Hey of Derech Hashem Ois Beis. An Ivroim Agashim Yeduim Etzleinu V'chugesem Mishpatem Ativim B'chlolim U'Fursamim. Basically, read, you go to your science class, you know what the laws of science are. Acharuchnim Ef Shalanu Litzai Yonim Heitev Keim Chutz Midim Yoneinu. Obviously, since they're not a part of a experiential reality in this world, therefore we can't have an accurate depiction of what it is because we don't have words to describe things outside of human experience. We can at the best describe Hagdoros through revelation, but we can't describe Svaros, we can't do more than that. Therefore I'm only going to talk about not out of my belly, not Boich Svarolach, but something which I have the Kabbalah, which he had from wherever he had. הנה איך מן העיקר הגדולים שיבדנו בעניין זה שנגד כל מה שנמצא בנמצאים השפלים נמצאים למעלה כוחos נבדלים שמהם משתלשלים ויוצאים. Everything rolls out of primary metaphysical phenomena. Nothing starts with Gashmias. The Gashmias is the end result of, I told you, it's like saying it, you know, like a person says a pshat in the Taisus. Very nice. You know what that really is? It's hours of blood, sweat, and tear and breaking your back and to gain training, whatever it took to get to that pshat and taisvus comes out in 5 minutes in a pshat and taisvus. But if you chop what it is woo, or a doctor does a diagnosis. And he does a very good diagnosis. You think it just happened, he had a rabbit and that. You know what? It took the training of the person and the thinking, etc. Till, Baruch Hashem, he can make this diagnosis. All that, now a person who can appreciate all that says, wow. You see, this is called Chachma of HaKadosh Baruch Hu that he gives to a human being, Baruch Shechach M'Chachma Sal Yireyev, you know. Baruch Hashem, that's how you see things. You see things in their shoirish, how they're expressed in the Anaf. When you look at Bayer Priya Eitz, you look at an apple. If you would know, or even learn or read, Bayer Priya Eitz, you know what a heavy sentence that is? First of all, Bria, it's get Bria, Yitzira, Asiya, V'chulu, Seder Oilamis. God, which through its Oilam Bria, till it comes onto reality, there's an apple there. Woo! That's a lot of stuff happening, okay? Okay, das is Abayre Priya Eitz. That's a Hakara. As much as there's a Hakara, that goof makes you a Kli to get more. But that you start looking at the world that way. I'm telling you, when I say the best achana for Ella is going to, it's going to see nature, I know what I'm talking about. Yeah. Hopefully you're going to not just learn computers and business, you're also going to know sciences. So, or read it at least, and you'll be aware of the Chachma of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It's frightening. And the more you understand that, the more you'll daven differently. You'll pray differently, you'll daven differently, you'll see differently. You'll ultimately be a better person than a Jew, I think. So this is what he writes. Again, this is the order that God's Chachma was geyser. Hashvelim heim umikreim v'nimtzeim hakoiches haim shrashim lanimtzoim hashvelim ha'ela. Those metaphysical realities are the root reality of these lowly realities that you see in front of you. The trees, the birds, the bees, the ocean. This is alles Kleingeld. This is nothing more than a teitzah of tremendous shrashim. V'nimtzoim hashvelim anafim v'toldois l'koiches haim. Always go back to the shayrish. V'nikshoim zeh b'zeh kitabot hashoshelis. Go to Gimel. You want to know what really calls the shots? Not here. What happens is like, what really happens? The chemistry, the physics will define what happens to you here. The main stock it just because you have a little skin or whatever. Well, it depends on a million factors which have to do with Shorish HaShoshim of science. And Chab, that Shorish HaShoshim of science has to do with Shorish HaShoshim of Ruchnius. Just like Baruch Hashem, you're educated enough to know you don't look at things at face value. When you see something growing, you understand there's a certain chemical or whatever it be, bacteria, whatever is happening there. I hope you understand that, okay? Okay, you suddenly realize things that we didn't know 100 years ago, thank God. Okay, today we know how to see things and where they're coming from. We don't just do a rain dance, we understand, okay? There's actually real medicine. To a certain extent, and to the extent we don't know, we don't know. We're still looking for more. But we know that there is. Good, because we're looking for the shroshim. There's only one step more. The shorish of that. The Brisker Rav had a doctor, I still remember him, he davened in the Shemesha Shul, an old man. His name was Dr. Wagner. So the Brisker Rav was ill one day. So Brisker Rav says, Dr. Wagner, from Van Kumtus, where does this come from? So he looks at, he was a yek. He said, Bishkerov, from Chatoim, Avenis, and Pshoim. That's where it comes from. Now you want to know what happened to your throat, we'll talk about it. But where does it come from? From Chatoim, Avenis, and Pshoim. That's a good doctor. And this is Lamaisit. And this is sure, where does it come from? Chatoim, Avenis, and Pshoim, where does it come from? Mele, you got yourself a problem. Okay? That's the Said Gadol. Reb Chaim Voloshin discusses this by Chavak Daila when he talks about Tefillah and Yisurim. The pshat is the Yisurim are there because Kosh Baruch Hu also has Yisurim, because Baruch has Yisurim the fact that you're Misyasher. But if you would want to take away the Siba, the Yisurim, why did God give you the Yisurim? Don't just run to the doctor. Understand these Yisurim there because you have to fix something. And because you didn't fix it, Kosh Baruch Hu suffers because he's making Yisurim. He doesn't want to make Yisurim, but he's doing it for you. It's like my father used to, every time he used to have to hit me, and I was pretty wild, he used to mumble, I didn't know what he was saying. It sounded Litvish until I grew up understanding. I thought he was cursing me. But then I got what he was saying. So wow, I got a great dad, you know what I mean? I was pretty wild. When I first came to Yisrael, I bet the Panavishur said, "Oh, you're the Mendel who used to get it." I used to get it, you know, big mouth. So you know what I mean. So, but I remember, never forget that. He couldn't put a hand on me or even discipline without making sure that I love you. I love you. I love you. When you understand that that's what the Yisurim are from, thank you, God. I don't mind having more. Okay? That's good. You're royally Yisurim, Baruch Hashem. That's what this is. But you have to be able to see that. And if you don't see that, you're not worth it. So you have to understand these Yisodis, okay? Again, Ikar Metzias Ha'olam Matzavi Amitu B'koiches Ha'em El Yoyin V'todas Masha B'em U'Masha B'gashmis Ha'shvei V'zeh Bein Masha Mitchilas U'Bein Masha Mischachim B'schalfes Azmanim. Whether original or things which are seasonal, everything starts up there. I want to go again just to show you. You read this on your own. This little piece. Go to Dalit for a moment. Lefi Shavi said, "Chilas kol ha'avaya lemala b'koiches el yoinim v'soifam lemata." But this is the way we have to see things. That's what this thing is. So one has to understand. That's also when you're learning Torah. The idea of b'chash b'tuv b'choyim Torah masa b'reishis is the same thing. Because Reb Chaim writes by Archav, also the Tanya writes, and also Reb Chaim writes in Shar Dalit, that how do we generate this koiches el yom they're constantly being? By being ma'ira, the Chachma of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, because the Chachmas were started, and that's by our learning Torah. Our learning Torah is ma'ira Chachmas HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and the Chachma, the Shoirish, HaShrashim, as the Ramban wrote, Bereshis, B'Chachmasah, he Beit Shemayim V'aretz. To be ma'ira chachmasa yisbarach is totally biyadchem by learning Torah. The extent that you really learn Torah and chap that this is shorish ha'olamis, bingo, that's ma'ira shorish ha'olamis. And as much as that yediyah is amik b'mesuder, that's midas hakoiches ha'akora, that's created, that happens. And as much as it's b'shitchias or just me'asafa v'lechutz and you don't really chap what you're saying, so it's that hakara is a much lower level pula, as we saw in the Ramban. So now I want to sum this up because this is what's important. If we talked about hakara being on one hand being a kli, but more in being a ma'orer, you have to understand how far the hakara has to go. The hakara has to go as much as possible to Havayahu Elokim. The hakara has to go to these different things we saw in the Ramban and the Ramchal. The Korah has to go that what we have to be ma'ira is shorish ha'avaya. We have to understand we're looking at a world which is nothing more than a superficial expression of things which are more bigger. We want the big things. You know, you say Rafay, Nashev and Rafay. Think of shorish ha'rafah, where it comes from and what this means. And Mamela, this will be good. For me, it means help me not sin. Because machla is there for a reason. It's a pasuk in Chumash. If you do, kol ha'machash or some mitzrayim le'asam elecha ki en Hashem reifecha. Did you ever read the Ramban there? Very sharp language. Mala years that mala reife v'beis yirah Hashem. What's the doctor doing there? The answer is got to be realistic. We're not. Well, he's also talking about the doctors of yesteryear. Those doctors were more choshed on Ritzicha than they were on new medicine, like I know Indian rain dances in those days. But Lamaisa, that's an emes. Ma'al Reifer Beis Hashem, because the Ramban also writes this in Yov. If you takibi davik b'Kadosh Baruch Hu, you wouldn't need a doctor. The problem is we're not. Most people are not davik b'Kadosh Baruch Hu. We're not holding there. We don't play games. But that doesn't mean that. But as much as we do have an akara, that's the way we should be saying Rafay Hashem and Rafay. I'm not trying when I say that. And for Yeshiva Bacham, yeah, specifically, you know, maybe you should start learning Shemona Esrei Be'iyun. I don't want to do that here because that would take me ages. But just learn the first 3 brachas. That would be like putting it down. But you can learn on your own. But this is the Yisodis that I wanted to teach. So when we talked about the Ramban, we started with the Tefillah is a workshop for Yediyah, Emunah, yeah. The halachas of Tefillah we pointed out, the din of Tzuras of Tefillah, more so the Hakara of Tefillah, which goes both as a Kli and both as a Ma'ira, and the depth of the Hakara depends on you. And then we show different dugmas of the depth of Hakara, and your Ma'ira to the extent of where it said, no, halfway, 2/3. Atzavemi hamtir. Do you see it? It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 lines from the bottom going up. It's pasuk vav. He didn't put it there. He only put pasuk zayin. Atzavemi hamtir. What does motor mean? So the Gruah Nevuah. Sheboa milamala. Motor hainu ruach hakodesh sheshayre b'teicha adam. Mashiv ruach hamerid hageshem. So what's the sherish hashoshim hageshem? Ruach hakodesh. You said this tonight. This means to say nevuah v'ruach hakodesh. In other words, yes, here comes rain. But if the world would have kalim to get in the shroshim, you would have nevuah and ruach hakodesh. Nebuch, you only have kalim for the rain. You don't have kalim for the bitui of the oimik of that rain. But every time God gives rain, He's betzing giving a shefa. Guys, just open up your brains. Nevuah and ruach hakodesh is waiting for you. Next time, it's frightening. That's what he writes the Gra. So the Gra. Then he said, what's that? Chachma bina v'das. What does that mean? Heim chayis hakodesh. In other words, yes, of course we're talking about food for the animals. I said Baruch Nafshi, but where does it start from? The Shirish L'Shroshim is giving a shra of Chachma to whatever this means in the Nevuah of Yecheskel, Chayis HaKodesh. So this ultimately expresses on the fact that there's food for my cow. So you can pray for food for your cow. Or you can pray for Muslim Chayis HaKodesh, which will also express itself in food for my cow. And by the way, get more hakora there is, you'll shaykh to you something other things too. You can ask for rain, or you can ask for ruach hakodesh and nevuah. Nevuah is the bמשנת, Ramban and B'Asra. A Talmud Chacham which wants to understand Machav and Surah La'amita of Sugi, that's a Sugi of nevuah. Says Af b'shel nitla nevuah min ha'nevi ma'achacham and le'nitla. Zot the Ramban, yes, a person which learns Torah is Machav to emes. That's a tzur of nevuah. Would you believe it? Okay? Yeah, that's the nevuah you can ask for. So when you pray for rain, think about, I'd like to have a shra of Chachma and Ruach HaKodesh, expressed obviously in rain. Now you understand what the Gemara says, Gadol Yom Kshamim K'meisha Yom Shenitna B'Torah. Because the shirish of Geshem is Chachma and Ruach HaKodesh. The Medrash says on Dor HaMav, Roy Haya Oisei Dor Shitinatin Torah al Yoda. But Nebuch, they went wayward to the head of a mob. But what does that mean? That shefa of Torah and Chochmah that could have been translated itself into overwhelming waters which drowned them. That's a Medrash Rabbi. Golter used to love talking about it a lot. Probably in one of his books there's a Baimer on it. I don't know. It's been years. But the Medrash I remember very well. So this is the Yisrael one. You daven for Shroshim if you know about them. Don't just daven for the Paris, daven for the Shroshim, and for Shtetzach, it should come out in Paris. I need health. Okay? But you understand there's so much more beforehand. This is what he writes over here. What does that mean? Should go on and on and on. In others' reality, you can be think you could it's mamish yidaber b'tachtoinim v'yirmez le'elyonim. You're asking for rain, food for the animals, but actually asking for the chachma and bina, which is expressed in that. It should also come into that levush, but there's so much more to get and so much more to ask for. And the deeper, as I said before, the bigger the hakara, the more the Yisraelus. The more the Yisraelus, is also bigger the kalim. Then you get something. That's enough. That I want to show. That's a grow, which is worth seeing.